and welcome to No Such Thing as a Bad Movie podcast. I'm April Atmansky, and I'm here today with...
Justin DeClue.
And Colin Cunningham.
And, it's May, so spring is in the air. So how about we look back at something from the winter?
I mean, this film does not take place during the winter.
Yeah, false advertising. This film actually takes place in the fall. It's Winterbeast.
Woo! I mean, could have they called it Fall Beast or Spring Beast?
Autumn Beast.
Yeah.
You're right, it doesn't have the same ring.
Although there are some sound effects that imply that there's a winter storm.
Yeah. And there was one exterior shot that had snow in it.
Yes, when the guy is rock climbing. Yeah. I remember, I'm like, there it is! I was like Leonardo DiCaprio Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was like,
Winter.
So Winterbeast, 92 it came out?
I guess the release date was 91, 92, but it was shot in 1986, and then the rest of it was shot in 1989.
Yeah.
Is that right?
And you could never tell. It is seamless in this motion picture.
So Justin, this was your pick, and I really liked this movie, first of all. But how did you hear about this, and what do you have to tell us about this very strange slasher movie, monster movie? I guess it's more of
definitely a monster movie.
Oh god, it's got all the monsters.
All the monsters and more.
This was giving me Spookies flashbacks.
I don't remember exactly where I heard about it. Maybe on a list somebody had on regional horror films. And I was like, what is this Winterbeast thing? And I remember sitting and watching it. I'm like, this is like Things.
Yeah,
except much more epic.
Yeah, it's a little bigger than Things.
Slightly more comprehensible, I think, plot-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. You're being very generous. Considering the last 30 minutes of this movie don't feature any dialogue.
Oh, that's crazy. Oh, they're talking though. If you can read lips, you can see what they're saying.
And so I watched this movie and it has all my favorite kind of stuff. It's obviously people who have never made a movie getting together. They're trying to be very stylish. There's lots of monsters that show up only for one scene, all stop motion most of the time.
Yeah.
Then they disappear, never to be seen again. And it's one of the few films that I had seen where you can clearly see they shot over a long period of time, because not only does the camera stock change in the middle of a scene, but a guy's mustache appears and disappears throughout.
Well, it's a real mustache replaced by a fake mustache.
Yes.
It's very, very easy to spot.
Yeah, April said it looked like a piece of orange rug that they taped
It
to
does.
his lips.
Exactly.
But they're in mid conversation sometimes,
it'll cut to an over the shoulder. And you're like, oh, no mustache anymore.
Somebody will go can I talk to you over here? And then they'll walk, and then the film stock will completely change. The actors look younger. They look different.
From what I heard, they went from 16mm to Super 8, and that's what caused the switches between quality.
Okay.
And it was a film that no one really wanted to finish it, so it took a lot of work to get the version that we both watched. That was 73, 76 minutes. I think it came out to.
Yeah, I think less than 80, maybe. It's an hour 14 or something, maybe.
Yeah, it's real short.
But it's
so much entertainment packed throughout.
It is, although there is some padding in this, and it depends on what your definition of padding is.
Yeah.
But
do you mean montages set to amazing music?
Yeah.
How about single, uninterrupted 10-minute lock-offs of two people talking
in the corner of a room?
It's like a Godard or Wes Anderson movie. Wait, we should start the movie from the beginning, though, because we start with a very Things-like nightmare.
Yeah, it's very confusing. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Well, even before that, with the credits, we get the opening song, and I'm putting it right
I was
at
really
the front.
getting Feeders 2 Sleigh Bells vibes.
Yeah,
we talked about the amazing music in that.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is like John Carpenter opening credits. They go on and on and on.
Yeah,
we gotta get over that 70 minutes, Colin.
It's one of this is my favorite thing, and I mean there are all the songs in this are good, but there's one song in particular that's the rock and synth score. And I think it's over the opening. I'm gonna cut it in here so you guys can hear it. it should go down in history as one of the great like 80s like B-movie horror themes. I really do think so.
And it'll come out of nowhere in this movie too. They'll be in the middle of a conversation, it'll cut to a different location, and that music's just a rocket.
Yeah, there's some repetitive music in this, but that's par for the course.
And so this nightmare, we introduced to our hero. I don't think he's a sheriff because the credits on IMDb say sergeant.
I think he's a ranger. Right? He's like a
okay.
I just call him mustache.
I just call him
man.
like Ranger Man.
And
Mustache
very
man.
confusingly, his name is Bill Whitman, and the other guy's Ranger Stillman. Or which one is Whitman? Which one is Stillman?
Stillman is the one
That's the guy with the glasses.
Yeah, he doesn't take off his sunglasses.
Right, that's what I thought. So where Whitman has a nightmare where he just sees a guy, his face is melting off, and then very slowly he sticks his hand under his skin, being like, oh.
And then this like tentacle creature, it's like a stop motion creature, just pops into frame and kind of dances for a little bit.
You don't know what it is, but it's
and then
so
it cuts to one of the best shots in the movie, which they repeat twice, where a guy is like, oh, and then like a skeleton penising pops out of his chest.
Kind of like a chest burster, but it has
and
hair.
then, like, it raises its eyebrows, and I made a note here. It scrunches up its face like Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, it does.
Whoa. See, I know we mentioned it, but this movie kind of has like everything. It has not only does it have a bajillion monsters, but it has stop motion. It has practical like puppet type effects, and it has guys in makeup, hair and makeup,
which you'll only realize at the end of the movie. You're like, oh wait, is he supposed to be giant?
Oh yeah.
Wasn't buying it.
It's the
but they
Winterbeast
tried.
himself.
I maybe.
I was buying it.
We'll take a vote at the end of which one we think is the real Winterbeast.
Yeah.
The Winterbeast was the friends we made along the way.
We made
So
along
it
the
might
way.
surprise you.
So we open up. We've already seen the nightmare. So we go to this ranger hut. I guess this is the
hut.
ranger man.
Ranger closet.
And this is something that
Yeah.
you see a lot in this movie, where the set is clearly just the corner of someone's garage, and they've put up two walls. And then they just lock off the camera and they just blast a huge spotlight onto the actors.
I think it is a set. Like I think it's a
No,
set.
it is definitely a set. Yes.
Like it's not like a real.
It's a very flat
Cabin.
No, it's what I'm saying. It's like all the sets are clearly in someone's garage that they've just put two wooden walls
a wooden
up.
wall up,
and all the walls and all the sets in this movie look like they're about to fall apart. Anytime someone leans
Don't
against
breathe on
one,
them too hard. Yeah, you want to do a second take? Nah, that's fine.
they're always just wobbling
So-
and shaking.
Introduced to Stillman, our curly-haired fellow who always wears his sunglasses inside, and his defining trait is he loves pornography.
He is so aggressively heterosexual and horny.
Yeah, and like the scene goes on a while where they're kind of just like shooting the shit, and it's kind of a slow start.
Close up of a porno mag that he holds up.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's talking to some other guy that I guess found a female ranger up on the mountains and brought her back.
There's somebody else missing too that they talk about.
I guess it's implied that the nightmare that he was having in the opening scene was like a premonition. That was the missing ranger that he's been looking for. That's what actually happened to
The
him.
blonde guy with the chest burster. That's what we think anyway. That was the guy that was missing at the beginning of the movie that we never really meet.
Right.
And here we're introduced to the main thematic costume in this film, which is plaid. Because there's a guy that's wearing like a yellow plaid vest over a red plaid shirt.
Yeah, it's very, it's clashy. But I mean, that's a Canadian look. Where was this shot? Does anyone know?
I have no idea.
I was kind of maybe a Midwestern vibe with the accents.
Yeah. Oh, I used to know because
he did say
it was in
Boston.
Massachusetts. That's where it was shot.
Because
land of Matt Farley.
Ranger Man says that he was trying to be a cop in Boston.
Yeah, I went to the big city and I couldn't cut it.
But
so
then
I'm back here.
sunglasses guy Stillman, he sounds like he's from New York. He's like,
New York. I'm putting on an
New
accent.
York. He's like,
yeah, it's a real like I'm Bugsy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like a gangster.
He's like
accent.
the sidekick, and he keeps talking like this.
Yeah, it was a little bit like that.
And he is so he's talking to the guy that kind of rescued this female ranger that we're going to meet in a few seconds. They're just like shooting the shit. He's like showing him these nudie magazines, like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And he wants everybody to know that he is not gay.
Yeah.
No,
Stillman.
he is not
He is
gay.
so not
Like,
gay. He's
it's like that Lonely Island song. It's like, not gay.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I ain't no homosexual, pal.
Yeah, he literally says that.
we're introduced to our Ranger Mustache, and Ranger Mustache is like, I'm gonna go talk to the woman who we saved, and then he enters a black void we never see again.
The film stock changes to,
and isn't there like a sound that's like,
yeah, that's what I'm
like
saying.
Blue light on them as well.
You can see through the window. They've got this one fake tree that somebody's just wobbling from off screen, and then they've got the
Hey,
yeah.
It's a winter storm right there.
They fooled me.
And so I guess it's implied that he's in his office or something talking to this woman, but it's just
we
like,
never see this room again.
Yeah, it's like this weird black void. It's like shot in Super 8, so like the film quality just totally changes. And I guess she was with the other ranger up on the mountain or something.
Yeah,
like
so
that.
I guess she was found, but they lost the other guy. And then like they're kind of spending like the rest of the movie trying to find this other guy, and they never do.
I think they talk about the fact that like people are disappearing and dying.
Yeah, well, like
the movie.
more and more people begin disappearing, but it starts with this one guy that we don't really meet, other than in a dream sequence, maybe.
Yeah. But it's kind of halfway through the movie. I'm like, oh, this is pretty much Jaws. This is just
no, it's exactly Jaws.
Yeah, it's Jaws
because
on the
we'll get
mountaintop.
to the person that's the unofficial mayor of the town, and he doesn't want to shut down for the foliage festival, which is the big thing in town.
Foliage festival, that's so cute.
So there's a lot of good lines when we cut back to that flat set that we hang out at for like 10 minutes at the beginning of the movie, including like, you want some libation? Wet your whistle, snort on that.
Yeah. So
that's some bad whiskey.
Ranger Man is sitting down with a heart-to-heart with Stillman or Stillwell. What's his name? Stillman?
Stillman, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And this is like one lock-off. Boy, oh boy. And it's one... this must go on for like 7 minutes or something.
I think it goes on for about 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
Like the whole
And
sequence.
it's dubbed, but so because sometimes their lips are moving and no sound is coming out.
Super 8 can't shoot sync sound.
Oh, well, that's
why.
That's
Yep.
why. Because it wasn't like when it was, in sync, it didn't necessarily sound like it was dubbed. You know what I mean? Like it sounded like it was in the space. But
most of the film sounds like really like, it's bassy. That's how you know that it's dubbed, where it's like, hey, we're going to go over there.
Yeah.
And then it'll cut to an over the shoulder and you hear like the sound of the camera whirring and as they're trying to say dialogue.
Yeah, you can kind of hear that as somebody walks over, to the table. You hear this like hissing sound, and then it'll just stop before he starts talking.
And so this scene ends, and, we're going to wind up to the monsters appearing. Nope, we're cutting right to a woman taking her top off in a cabin somewhere.
Just a random woman, and this stop-motion Groot attacks her.
yeah, it really does look like
It looks
Groot.
exactly like Groot.
And this movie is really front-loaded with boobs because there's no boobs in the rest of the movie, I don't think.
No,
I don't think
this
so,
is definitely, they're like, we need boobs in this to be able to sell it to a distributor.
Yeah, and you got to put it at the beginning because they're only going to watch the first 15 minutes to,
That's right.
to see.
So we've already had... This is like the third creature that we've had in this movie so far. So it's like 1, 2, 3.
And we're like 10 minutes in.
I'm like, okay, I'm expecting just one Winterbeast, but there's like a dozen
Every
creatures.
scene where there's a monster, and there's a lot, is a new monster.
I can't believe that they didn't just like build one little model and just use that model throughout.
I
But
don't
there's
know.
a new one every time. I think it's because it took so long to do that they're like, I'll just make another one.
Well, you
like,
think the creatures just kept like rotting, like all the foam would just fall apart, so they'd have to make a new one.
The plasticine that they used for it just fell apart.
It's like the 7 Voyages of Sinbad or the 7th Voyage of Sinbad or something like that. It's like a Ray Harryhausen movie.
Well, what is cute about this scene and then later is that the big stop motion Groot grabs the lady, and then you see a little claymation lady in his hand.
Yeah.
Oh, you think that's cute, April, when he smashes her head up against the cabin?
This is my favorite part. Like, I got to say, the stop motion creatures are great, but yeah, they do that multiple times. So you'll see an actor like reacting, to something off screen, and then the creature will pick them up, and then they'll just turn into like a bad claymation version of them.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And we're introduced to the other major special effect in the movie, the guy who runs the Wild Goose Lodge,
Mr. Sheldon.
Dave Sheldon. Yeah. Oh, so Dave Sheldon, looking at the credits, it doesn't seem like he acted in anything else. I guess maybe he was in this movie and he's like, I've done everything I need to do.
I gotta say,
I will now return back to my home planet.
Yeah, he's the best actor.
Bob Harlow.
I mean,
he's amazing.
He's like got all of these monologues and he's high energy.
Come on, guys! We can't shut down the Foliage Festival? That would be crazy!
Yeah, I mean, he's really like at he's at an 8 when everybody else is
11.
like at a 2. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's 2 screaming matches later with Ranger Guy that are just amazing.
And he has like a raspy voice, but he also has like kind of like this. I don't even know what kind of accent.
It's like a very New York accent. Sounds like he's from the Village or something.
He kind of sounds like
Isn't
Joey
he introduced-
Pantoliano.
Isn't he introduced like he's talking to a group of old ladies and he goes, "You think that's bad? His sister's twice as fat." And everyone's like,
Yeah, and like that's a joke, I guess.
Yeah, well, it was the end.
And
it was
at
the punchline.
this banquet hall, they're all drinking Grolsch. I used to drink Grolsch all the time.
"What's Grolsch?"
It's those really, really big green bottles that have like the pop top.
It's beer.
Oh yeah, it's beer. Yeah, sorry.
I understand that. I was hoping you'd be like, "It's a mystical drink that only the
I
shamans
think it's from Germany,
consume."
maybe.
Yeah, but you see these like 2 old ladies in the foreground, which look like they're the director's
Somebody's mom.
or something like that. But they've got like 6 empty bottles of Grolsch and like I don't know, like a
And a big thing of
Yeah,
whiskey.
they're
big thing of
wasted.
whiskey.
There's- yeah.
shit faced.
Great set dressing.
And this is a scene where Bill Whitman's mustache appears and disappears a lot.
Yeah, he talks to Mr. Sheldon. He says, "Can I talk to you over here for a second?" And the footage changes.
Let me shave my beard first.
It looks like the set changes, the actors in the background change. He is no longer wearing a jacket. His mustache is different.
I mean, it makes sense. And you know what? They make it work by having the scene end with 2 guys that we've never met before go, "I'm just trying to make conversation here." "Well, you sure did a shitty job. And they start throwing punches at each other.
No, it was actually, that was the guy. That was the
it
yellow
was-
and red plaid
It was
guy.
double plaid
Oh,
guy.
the yellow and red flag guy?
For no reason.
It was so funny because they get in a fight and the one guy pushes the other guy into this like
like a
trellis,
trellis or something.
trellis inside. It breaks, it falls. It looks like the whole set's gonna come down.
All the walls are just wobbling and shaking.
Yeah, and then we cut back to that exact angle, and the old man is there, and he's like, "Hey, you guys, like, get the hell out of here!" The trellis is now perfectly back up again, and it's like it teleported.
Yeah, so those... Okay, it's so weird. It's like, this is the guy that they were just talking to in the opening scene of the
Well,
movie.
maybe he went with them. I don't know.
He did not. He was just there. It
He
was
went
just,
there ahead of them. Okay,
just
You
random.
guys have an advantage because you watched the movie twice.
we did.
And you know
I had
what?
to
This
make
could
sense
be like
of it.
brain damage, though. That you're like taking the juice too much. You're like,
I was
"Gotta do my Winterbeast."
just trying to make sense of it.
I do recommend anybody, if we're gonna watch this, watch it twice.
Yeah, it seems like scenes
Maybe
are
watch
just
it
sort of
3
like
times, man.
it seems like scenes are just sort of like randomly thrown together.
Yeah, we
Like,
needed to like talk ourselves through it to understand
Like, well,
what
who's
was
this guy?
happening. Listen, the first time we tried to watch it, we were distracted. We were both like getting work emails, and like our cat like would not stop meowing the entire movie. He's got something against Winterbeast.
I don't know. Maybe he just loves it.
Yeah, well, he was
loves
distracting
the
us.
Winterbeast. He's like, meow, meow, I love this. This is great.
Yeah, so it just cuts to them leaving the lodge. And when I say the lodge, like all the exteriors,
It's just one little
the exteriors
door.
again are amazing. Anytime they're like at night in the forest, it's just basically a black void with 2.
Yeah, and there's a few plants to let you know they're in a forest.
There's 2 little trees that they put in front of people. So and then the exterior of the Wild Goose Lodge is the same. It's just like this really wobbly front door and these 2 fake trees that are just in the foreground. And it looks like they're cramming like in. There's clearly no room anywhere.
But then there'll be other beautiful shots when they're outside. Like, I'm going to make a reference that people may be like, what? There's a shot of them, like, standing in front of a house that looks like it's straight out of the 70s or like a John Pay's film, like Crime Wave.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
I have a feeling it's just the nighttime stuff that they didn't want to bring lights onto location.
Yeah, you're right, because the daytime stuff that's, you know, by the trading post with all the
Yeah.
people or outside in the woods, that's all day.
All the exterior
yeah.
shots are daytime.
So that's a good point. I
Yeah.
didn't even think of that.
And so I think they find right away the like weird statue, right? With a skeleton on it.
Yeah, Stillman, sunglasses guy, meets up with the red
double plaid vest
double
guy.
plaid man, who I guess just started the fight 10 seconds earlier.
No, I think it's the next morning or whatever. But
It's the next morning, but they say meet in front of this diner, and then we're going to go hiking up into the mountains. And they just meet in front of this diner, and again, Stillwell is
yeah. They get in a few more gay jokes, like,
Yeah.
I don't want to have coffee with you. What am I? I'm here to wine and dine. I'm getting paid. Let's go up the mountain. And then plaid vest guy, I think, disappears after this to never return.
Yeah, they come across this totem. It's like a kind of totem pole or something. Well, it's basically like Groot that we saw earlier in the movie.
It looks like Groot, kind of, and
like
it's holding a
skeletons?
skeleton. And
Yeah, this is a different one because he comes alive later on in the movie.
Right.
it looks similar, but it's different.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Lady Ranger and Mustache Ranger.
So they come across
This has the best shot of the movie, though, where they're all standing in a line.
Yes! I saw that the first time we watched it, and I was like, Colin, you weren't looking. It was hilarious. And then I made sure he saw it the second time.
Yeah, it's great. It's like an album cover. It's like the
Yeah, that's what it
Yes.
looks like. It looks like the Beatles or something
yeah, that's
like that.
right.
I would love to make that like the thumbnail for this, but there's too many good monsters I should use instead.
So it's implied that I guess Stillwell came across this, went back to town, got Ranger Dan and the female ranger, and they immediately came back. But it's edited
Sure.
so poorly that it's just like, okay, were they all up there?
I guess they teleported there or
Yeah, I
something
guess
like
so.
that.
It's like what you were saying, Justin. Like, this is clearly like, some novice filmmakers. They're not really thinking hard about the continuity really at all. And it's just shooting scenes, like,
Yeah, shooting scenes.
because a lot of
trying to
times
put them
when they
together
put
later on.
when they put them together, people are often not acting like, oh, that this thing that just happened. Like they're acting like it.
Oh,
like
they are
it's
so
completely
deadpan.
out
Yeah.
of
There's
context.
Many times where it's like they just go back to work in the next scene, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Did something just happen? The only way you know that time has passed is they'll always just cut to an exterior shot of like the mountains.
I guess.
And
yeah.
then it'll cut into the next scene. It's just like a little kind
But
of
you
scene
know,
break.
our favorite ranger, he sees a statue and he's like, I saw it in a dream.
Yeah, right. And then we're introduced to a new character who I called Fake Ted Raimi.
Yeah, I thought he looked like Sam Raimi, actually.
And I have no idea who he is.
I think his name is Charlie.
Right.
I caught them saying his name, so I refer to him as Charlie later on in my notes.
but I don't know
he's-
how he comes into the story.
He's
or
also
why.
wearing plaid.
Right.
Is he dating the woman ranger? Is that
No.
No.
No. Okay.
I thought he might be Mustache Cop's friend. We don't know.
In the opening scene, Mustache Cop says that he knew a friend that moved up here, but he hasn't talked to him.
So maybe that's him. But anyway, he works at the trading post and they sell native artifacts and stuff like that. So
Like-
he's like the expert on native stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, go to the white guy. He's the expert on native artifacts.
Yeah, he has like a souvenir store, but the sign outside is really funny. It just says film, souvenirs, honey, belts.
Well, you got to see it from the
Those are the
road,
only things you
Colin.
need in life, Colin. Nothing weird with that.
Honey and
I
belts.
will say this guy has the worst haircut I've ever seen. It looks like he took a lawnmower to his head. It's like super
don't
short
know.
on the top, like really short, and then long, so it's kind of mullet-esque.
It's like
hated
a
it.
feathered mullet. It's parted in the middle. It's like feathered.
Yeah, but it's like a long bowl cut is what it looked like.
Kind of, yeah.
It was bad.
Everyone had, I had feathered hair like that back in the 80s.
Oh my god.
Everybody had that.
We've discussed this, April. We know. April gives herself like the eternal sunshine treatment every time she hears about Colin's mullet.
Yeah.
She's like, I just can't live with him anymore knowing he wants out a mullet.
I need it removed.
Mark
But
Ruffalo is going
anyway,
to show up.
This guy, so his name's Charlie.
Yeah.
He like becomes like the second
main
character,
character, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
in the movie.
This stinks a lot of like, oh, we had actors, they dropped out or stopped coming.
Yeah.
We need a new cast member to come and kind of fill the role that the previous actor had.
Yeah, so sunglasses guy kind of disappears. He comes and goes from the movie.
Yeah, but
Charlie
you think
becomes
he gets all this stuff at that opening scene. You think, okay, this
Right.
is one of our main characters, and no, he just disappears. And that's how Charlie comes in.
You kind of think that sunglasses guy, he's the type of character that gets killed very early on in movies usually.
Yeah.
Because he's like the kind of wiseacre, you know.
Instead, he makes it almost to the end. Almost.
So this is when festivities are going on,
Right.
right? Like, it's the foliage
the
festival.
foliage festival. And this is where it's like, okay, this is Jaws.
And the one thing that I noticed in the scene where the ranger cop is talking to his female deputy. I'm sorry, I could not find her name. I have it in my notes somewhere.
I don't know.
There's a shot where they're standing so close to each other, like in an over the shoulder.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
Like,
yeah.
whoa.
It was like she.
Oh, her name is Barbara.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Barbara. She looks normal, but then when you realize how close like the back of his head is, like in the shot, because I guess because it's a square frame, right? So.
It looks like they just screwed up. They made them move too close to each other. It looks like that shot in Fast and the Furious. That people share
that's right.
Of, like
that's
Vin
right.
Diesel and The Rock.
It looks like it's shot on some crazy telephoto lens or something, and it just flattens them.
And that's also the shot that is the insane dip in quality, and it becomes super
it goes back to
soft.
like Super 8 or something like that.
Yeah, you know what? I get a feeling that either the first or the second time they didn't shoot over the shoulders when they did the dialogue scenes. Like maybe they shot them in like ones in that flat way.
Yeah, okay.
They're like, oh man, we need some over the shoulders to like add more dialogue or something like
Yeah,
that.
because
Right.
the over the shoulders are all real mustache, from what I can tell, and all these
Yeah.
weird lock offs are fake mustache.
Right.
So I hope the over the shoulder was the first one, or did he have like the fake mustache and he's like, I want to grow a real one for the close up.
Yeah, wouldn't that be funny?
Let me go get some carpeting.
Does anybody have an orange rug? So this is the fall festival. He's trying to convince Mr. Sheldon to like either
You gotta close up.
he's got to shut down his lodge or something. That
The Wild Goose Lodge.
The Wild Goose Lodge which looks like it could only hold about 4 people.
Well, there's like a bunch of different cabins that we see at one point, but like, remember the opening, the Groot monster?
Oh, that's what
They're
it
like
was.
it's like they're a bunch of like separate buildings,
I
but
see,
you don't
okay.
see it very much. So
right.
it's
I didn't connect the
confusing.
two. I didn't know that was the
They
Wild
have,
Goose Lodge.
yeah, they have like 10 conversations in this movie. Like, look, people are missing, people are dying. Well, I don't care because we have to get the Foliage Festival, and we can't upset my guests. I've been running this for 30 years now, and this goes on, and he gets more and more irate.
Oh yeah,
It's
boy
quite
does
funny.
he ever.
And I think that this is the time when Charlie's like, listen, I found information about what could be happening. Come and look at what's in this box.
This is one of my favorite scenes.
This is insane.
Yeah. So he's like, all right, what I'm about to show you is really weird.
And he opens up the box. I call it the dildo box scene. He's showing some artifact, quote unquote, to Ranger Dan, and it's just a huge dildo for some reason.
Well, a huge dildo.
In the
just-
close-up.
And flesh colored, too.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, are they talking about that?
Well, and then underneath it is like a necklace with a big tooth on it, and then they're just talking about the tooth. So it's almost like that close up was filmed separately. They weren't reacting to it.
I only got this one box. I got to store all my precious things in it. So you got my dildo,
It's
you got my
insane.
Yeah, but you
necklace with two.
assume that he's talking about the dildo for the entire scene until he pulls
Well,
the
you
tooth
know
out.
what? It's obvious like a joke. It's like the shot of all three of them standing together. There's like jokes in this movie. At one point, Charlie stands in front of a statue of like a cigar store Indian.
Yeah.
And he
and he
moves.
like does the same kind of like
Kind of
pose.
mimics the pose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're right. I guess it was a joke.
But it was probably just like the director just shooting an insert
Yeah.
without the
Yeah,
actors
it's
and
just a baffling joke. Where it's
like,
like,
oh,
it's
man.
not subtle. Like it's not like hidden. It's not like where's
No,
Waldo?
it's right there.
It's right
oh,
there.
It's right there.
he's probably just like, oh man, when they see this at the premiere, they're gonna be so embarrassed.
Well, Justin, you played this movie in a theater. Did the audience just
Oh,
like
it killed.
react?
It killed. Well, we made a joke during our intro. We're like, they open a box, see if you can spot a thing that doesn't belong.
So I guess yeah.
Yeah, I think that
ready
was the
for
moment that like killed the most. Oh. And I think we're at like 20 minutes in, and the director's getting antsy, and he's like, "Oh man, we need another monster in here."
Yeah,
so we have
a
two women that are just
hiking.
I guess hiking. Yeah.
And they're attacked by this. I could only describe it as a bird bear.
Oh, I wrote like Ape Man that bursts out of the ground.
Yeah, I was getting a ape vibe, but yeah, it comes out of the
Yeah.
ground, and then she's like, like something like pulls her from off screen. It's very silly, but you know what? It's
pretty
fine.
cute. Yeah. It has like almost like a bear body with like a little kind of beak and these big round eyes.
It's
almost like
furry.
what do you call those like slee stacks from
Yeah, Slee Stacks from Land of the Lost.
Yeah, it
Something
kinda
that
looks like
me and
that.
April were much too young.
I don't know.
To
I
ever
don't know
see.
what that is. Land of
Yeah.
the Lost. I thought you were saying
The
skeesis.
classic Will Ferrell
Yeah, it
film.
was,
Don't you remember, April?
Will Ferrell. No, I don't.
It was a TV show in like the 60s, 70s.
60s or 70s. I used to watch it all the time.
Well, I mean, it's back, and it's going for 2 women with
and
perms.
It's in pog for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it's like it's got a furry body like a bear, but anytime the frame changes, you can see all the fingerprints and clearly the
Yeah, it's like Wallace and Gromit.
yeah, it's like the stop motion animator has been kind of moving the fur, which is fine, and you can see it's filmed in front of like a real background, like outdoors, so all the trees are blowing and they're just constantly like jumping around from frame to frame.
Yeah, it has a charming quality to it.
It does. I really love the designs and the animation.
I kind of lose the thread of the narrative in my notes here, so if one of you guys have it, because I just wrote like weird stuff that because the film essentially kind of like self-destructs on itself.
Well, it's like
where you're like, wait, who's the main character now?
Here we have Ranger Dan confronting Mr. Sheldon yet again. They have the library. Go to the local library,
which is just a corner,
which is really cute. It's like the exterior is a model of the library, and then we cut to the interior, which again is just like a very tight, claustrophobic corner.
It's
of
like
a room.
You're right in the corner.
And Mr. Sheldon is just sitting in the corner with a spotlight blasting on him, and he's
he's always covered in like green or blue.
Now
light.
I think that was a stylistic choice to show that maybe his motivations are.
I don't know. No, I think
right.
it's every interior scene in this movie is just like the same kind of wood paneled walls. So I have a feeling like they just had like 4 wood paneled walls that they would just move around to make a room or a set.
Well, yeah, but he's next to like the tiniest bookshelf with like a couple books on it, and that's the library.
That's the library.
Did we skip anything? Because I wrote in my notes here, forced perspective of a statue, which I always love.
Oh, that was the totem pole.
Yeah, I guess it's
the totem pole, because it happens later where a guy standing beside you is like, whoa, it looks big, but it's just like clearly just near camera.
Yeah, it's blowing and wobbling in the wind. It looks like it's about 12 inches tall.
12 inches. You're being very generous.
I really didn't think it was forced perspective the first time I saw it. I really didn't. So this movie isn't as bad.
They fooled you.
It's there's no such thing as a bad movie.
How was the color timing on the version that you watched, April?
It was acceptable.
Actually, the quality was pretty good. I mean, before...
this is Vinegar Syndrome.
This is Blu-ray.
This is the new scan
It's excellent.
that appears on an amazing box set they did.
The reason, the way I can always tell is when the intro credits, when they're rock solid and crisp, then you know it's going to be a good transfer.
Yeah, I mean, it did look good.
If those are blurry and they're bobbing and weaving...
Yeah, then you're like, oh.
Then you're like, oh, no. So then we go, So then again, he pleads with Mr. Sheldon to close down his lodge. No,
we can't. It's the Foliage Festival.
You guys, we keep making fun of the Foliage Festival, but in my hometown, or at least a small town near my hometown, we had the Maple Festival, which is basically the same thing.
Wait, doesn't every Canadian town legally have to have a maple festival?
There's also an apple festival in the fall.
Apple cider.
Are there like fights? You're like, I love the apple festival.
Did you guys?
I love the maple festival.
Did you guys ever do that thing where, they would have the little thing of snow and then they would pour maple syrup on it?
No,
I've
been hearing about it.
They'd get like a wooden stick, and they could roll it so like the kids could eat like maple syrup covered snow.
First of all, that's gross. Snow's gross. But I thought they only did that in Quebec. I thought that was a Quebec thing.
Yeah, probably.
Justin, have you heard of this practice?
Yeah, you're a weirdo, Frenchie.
Yeah, I have. It's like a cabin à sucre kind of thing. Where
sugar
you go
cabin.
and you roll
Sugar
it.
shack.
Yeah, sugar cabin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
I don't remember what that's called. I must have eaten one, though.
Yeah, I'd always be jealous because nowhere we went would have that. And I was like, oh, man, I want to eat some horrible yellow snow covered in maple syrup.
Well, see, that's the kind of stuff that you'll get at the Foliage Festival. Sounds like a place I'd want to go. I mean, I don't care if hikers are dying in the woods.
I don't know where this was shot. It looks delightful.
It's
beautiful fall.
Definitely not
I'm
winter.
sure it's been raised and it's all condos now.
Yeah.
But again, so wait a minute. They're admitting that this takes place in fall.
Yeah.
It's called Winterbeast.
Okay, here's the thing.
What the fuck?
Nobody even says Winterbeast in the movie, right?
No.
No, it has a different title, and it says it on the Blu-ray, which is not as evocative as Winterbeast.
So that's
so they probably changed it, or the distributor changed it.
Foliage
we need
monster.
something that pops.
Do you know what it was?
What?
The original title.
Oh, yes. I'm looking it up right now as you guys talk and fill the time.
Mr. Sheldon's Wacky Foliage Festival Good Times.
Yeah, what would be a good title do you think that it should have?
Monster Festival.
Yeah.
Monster Fest. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that would be good.
Or something that's
Let people know there's multiple monsters.
or something that because they're supposed to be from a native curse, so maybe like curse of the tribe or something like that. I don't know.
The chakra legend.
It was called "It Came from Lone Peak."
Really?
Not good. Winterbeast.
Winterbeast is better.
Again, it came. I was
They
shocked.
came.
Yeah.
So many of them.
I was just anytime a new one came on, I was like, "Oh my god!"
It
this
should
is
have been
amazing.
called Winterbeasts.
Yeah, clearly. Winterbeasts is kind of tough to say though,
Winterbeasts.
because of the S.
Yeah, you're right. It's hard to say.
Doesn't roll off the tongue.
So what's next?
Well, now we go to Fake Ted Raimi's house, and he's.
I don't think that's his house. Whatever.
He's reading a book, Monument in Cedar.
Yeah, it's like back to the souvenir store, and he's kind of like reading about the Indian legends of the area, and he discovers that the totem pole that they've discovered is like a Indian gateway to hell.
Right. And so we can only assume that is why all these monsters come out. It's a hellmouth type thing.
Yeah, but then his wife kind of walks into frame. She says, "Hey, hon, like, what are you reading about?" And he says, "I've been reading about that pole of ours." They keep referring to it as a pole.
Yeah.
Which is really
That's
funny.
actually his
Isn't
coworker.
it on the Devil's Ledge Trail, which we talk about as well?
Yeah, that's right.
And then
Devil's
they
Ledge.
hear a big noise and everything goes blue.
Oh, I wrote that down too.
Yeah.
What was that?
Really? What was that?
I don't know. It was one of the...
We don't know.
Something was coming through the hell portal.
I mean, maybe it was the monster that we see in the next scene when the guy is rappelling down a wintry waterfall.
Yeah, this is so
What
funny.
monster was this? I can't even remember.
This was the
It's
rubbery...
the alien with 4
Yeah,
arms,
it's the
isn't it?
rubbery alien with 4 arms that kind of drools and does this sort
and
of
does
weird...
a little dance.
Does like a little dance. It's really cool. And this is another one. It's like this scene where the guy's like rappelling down and then he instantly changes into a claymation guy and has his spine like ripped out.
Yeah, and he yells after his head was ripped off. Yeah.
I love this alien has like it does this really funny dance, but then it has this little animated drool that comes out of its mouth. It's really cool.
And then we're introduced back to the cops who are doing the only thing that Rangers can do. Putting up signs or posters that have so much text on them.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I
it's
said.
No one's
crazy.
gonna read that.
You'd have to stand there for 5 minutes to read all of them, and basically it just says "Stay off the mountain, stay off the trails."
Yeah, and then he gets into the first of a series of 2 screaming matches with Mr. Sheldon.
Yeah,
which is great.
Again,
Mr. Sheldon comes to him and
Do you think Mr. Sheldon is a grandfather of young Sheldon, everyone's favorite comedy star?
yes, I do, because that
course.
show is made by the devil.
It would be so good, watching an episode of Young Sheldon, because, I don't know, you died and went to hell or something like that. And it's like, and now he must visit the Winterbeast. You're like, oh, what?
Yeah.
so Mr. Sheldon, he's torn all the posters down off the streets because he doesn't want to scare anybody away. And
we handmade all of those.
For some reason, he's dressed as Colonel Sanders.
Yes, he's dressed exactly like Colonel
We
Sanders.
forgot to mention earlier, more plaid. He had a plaid suit on.
At one point, the Ranger is wearing a plaid red vest over his like cop getup.
Yeah. It's just plaid everywhere.
Yeah, Mr. Sheldon has this red plaid suit. He looks like something like Don Cherry would wear or something.
And for those who are not Canadian, look up Don Cherry.
Yeah.
He was famous for his. He's a hockey announcer.
Famous-
Wait, don't look up any controversy surrounding him. Just look up the suits he would wear.
Don't look
Don't
up his...
worry, he was fired for his racist remarks, but he's back now.
Is he really?
I think he's on conservative radio.
Yeah, he's
now or
back.
something.
Probably. Jesus
Anyway,
Christ.
it's not important.
Anyway,
Colonel Sanders shows up.
Canadian loudmouth Don Cherry.
Yeah, Colonel Sanders, who has nothing bad related to him at all.
Yeah, he's
He's only
clean.
killed billions and billions of chickens.
But it's so delicious, right?
Yeah, you can't just have one. I can't eat KFC chicken anymore. Too greasy.
Yeah, I agree. Although, I mean, if someone put it in front of me, I would eat it. But I'm not about to go ordering it or anything.
Well, now we
Even if my hands were tied behind my back, I'd just lean forward and put it in my mouth.
get a big heart-to-heart scene. Wait, this screaming match is fantastic, by the way. Each actor just keeps escalating. Like
Well, is that the one where there's the 3 guys?
the Colonel Sanders one?
Yeah. So, what's his name? The trading show, the trading post guy, Charlie.
Charlie.
Yeah, so he's there. He's smoking a cigarette, not talking. He's mouthing the dialogue.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I noticed that the first time at the beginning of the scene.
He's looking at Ranger Ted or whatever.
Yeah, and he's mouthing his dialogue.
Right.
Which is just so charming. You don't get that in every movie, you know?
Well, that's supposedly a trick that some actors use to cue yourself to when you have to talk.
Okay, because is
that you learn everybody's dialogue.
Or at least the one that comes before your line.
Yeah, just learn the one line or word.
Well, didn't you watch the classic Fresh Prince of Bel-Air documentary
I did,
where Will Smith said that's what he did for the first few episodes?
And if you look in the background, you can see it. Yeah,
I'm
going to start looking out for that in these bad movies that we watch because I bet it's more common than we think.
Huh.
It's like the boom mic of dialogue. And there is a boom mic in this as well. I saw it.
Well, you're assuming that these bad movies even have scripts to memorize.
Are you sure you saw a boom mic? Perhaps it was a monster tentacle falling into frame.
It was at the bottom of the screen. I forget.
It was coming up.
The microphone monster.
I forget which scene, but anyway, it's not important.
And now we cut back to the Ranger's cabin, and we get a really amazing heart-to-heart scene with Ranger Rick and Charlie.
You found a new name for the Ranger every
Rick.
time.
Yeah.
Ranger Dan, Ranger
just
Rick,
call him
Ranger
Mustache
Rob.
Ranger
He's not
Mustache.
even a cop.
Ranger Stash.
So he and Charlie have this heart-to-heart, and Charlie's like,
couldn't make it in the big
yeah,
city.
Charlie's like, I thought you wanted to be a cop, and he says, oh, I tried out, but the best job I could get, the closest job I could get was like what was it?
Crossing guard.
Crossing guard.
Yeah. Oh.
And then he says, I knew my limitations. And he says, it's okay if everybody became what they wanted, there'd be nobody to watch the mountain. It was so sad.
Sure. And I think that's also the scene where Charlie is talking about like his love life or whatever, and he's like, I took this job to get girls, which is like, this sounds like something that the sunglasses guy would say. And he's like, it didn't work out. And then the Ranger's like, I think you already have a girl, meaning Barbara, who's actually his coworker. But you can tell they have a crush on each other because they were like flirting with each other when they were putting up posters. Anyway, none of this is important.
Well, it's not going to last very long because the next scene.
Well, we skipped over a scene. There's like the female Ranger. She goes on her own little adventure.
Yes.
And she comes across this grave in the woods.
Yeah, Barbara. That's the female
right.
Ranger.
Okay,
no, sorry. I was talking about the other girl who works at the souvenir shop.
Right. I think that's his wife, Charlie's wife.
No, they're not
girlfriend.
married. It's not. It's really not important, you guys.
So female Ranger goes off. She encounters this grave, and it says like Sheldon. I don't know if it's
senior.
Okay, so it's Mr. Sheldon's father then.
Possibly grandfather. It was
like maybe the idea.
It said like Reverend Sheldon.
But he kept saying like my grandfather's.
Right. Okay.
Father's father.
And she opens up the coffin, and it's a zombie. I thought it was a zombie. Pops out and starts attacking
mummy
her.
thing.
It's a mummy.
It's a mummy. It's wrapped like a mummy for some reason.
This is not stop motion. This is person in suit. So this is the first time you get something different. So you're like, whoa, like an all new special effect here, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
It's a good costume.
It kills her.
And so she disappears. And is this where we finally get Sheldon's big scene?
Yeah, this is like the creepiest scene in the movie.
And it kind of goes on forever,
good.
but
Yeah, it's like a Lost Highway.
Yeah.
Or not Lost Highway, Blue Velvet.
Yeah, that's
kinda.
exactly what it is.
Lost Highway too, man. I mean,
it's super creepy. So it's like he's in his, I guess, lodge back at the Wild Goose Lodge.
He's always in the same location.
But then he like starts the scene where he's like pulling on this rope, and then you realize that it's the female Ranger's body that he's kind of like pulling up like a marionette or something.
He's like hoisting her up, and then he like slaps her in the face, and he like puts his like finger in her neck wound. It's really gross.
Ugh. And then he like starts dancing. He puts on this old-timey record.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Tiny Tim-esque, like old oak tree.
That is like the one thing in horror movies that I just can't take. It's like, well, people dancing around to like old-timey records.
Especially if they take a mask that's much too small for their face and hold it up to their face.
Yeah, I mean, he has the maniacal smile going, but then he puts this creepy mask on and he's dancing around, and it goes on a long time, and Charlie's like watching him from the window or whatever, and it's sufficiently creepy.
Yeah, he's got his whole living room is full of like rotting corpses.
That look like shrunken head props or something. But
they're really bad, like Halloween props, but I don't know if it's meant to imply that these are all the people that have died in the mountain, and he just sort of keeps their bodies.
I think so.
Ugh.
But basically, what the issue with this movie is that nobody ever really explains like what's going on.
I think that Mr. Sheldon does, because what happens is the Ranger and Charlie walk into the room, find them, and then Mr. Sheldon has a long speech where he goes, "You understand everything now." And I was like, what?
Yeah, he explains everything, and then...
but it makes no sense.
What does he
Makes
say?
no
He's
sense.
just like, my
I'm a devil man,
grandfather,
I
father, we basically, I think what he's saying is, we lure people to the mountain and the curse, the monsters kill them.
He realizes he's discovered the real way to bring the Winterbeast through this devil portal or demon portal. And then it's so much for him to bear that his head explodes in flame.
No, yeah, he finds it so funny that he's like, ah! and then his eyes explode.
It's
with
very
flames.
much like the Nazi at the end of Raiders of the
Yeah,
Lost
his
Ark.
head, it's like it
melts.
gets to like a wax head on top of this plaid suit, and it
then,
just sort of melts.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, I guess that's the climax of the movie, right? Everything's different. Everything's changed.
Wait, Justin.
Nope.
Well, Ranger, Stash, and Charlie are just like, what the hell? Next scene, they're just back to normal, and I'm so
back at work.
confused. And they're just like, "Oh, so you're looking for this? Oh, I can show you this here." Like talking to like somebody who wants to go up the mountain. I was so confused. I thought this was a flashback, flash forward. I don't know.
No, this is implied. It's like the next day, and everything's back to
They saw
normal.
all this, found the bodies. Now new guests are there, and they're just helping them around the mountain.
This is where the movie goes insane. Like
It seems like they were like, "Let's just do some more."
Guys, remember Stillman? He's still around.
He's still around, and what's he up to right now?
Well, Ranger Stash is basically telling Charlie, "Look, we're gonna get rid of this totem pole," and he says, "Oh, I sent Stillman up to cut it down."
And Charlie doesn't want him to because he thinks it's worth money.
Yeah, he's like, "You don't know, this is like an ancient artifact," and then he's like, I've sent him up to cut it down. That's it. And then he slams the phone down, and Charlie, he goes, "Fucka."
Yeah, but this is why it makes me feel like it was filmed out of order, because wouldn't they be like, remember that guy's evil plan that we just...
they don't mention it at all.
They don't comment on that.
Wait, so I forget who gets killed here. Is it... No, Stillman doesn't die, right?
He just
when he goes and cuts it
faces
down?
the monster, though.
Yeah, the statue comes to life, and it's like, ah! And now we go into... It's just like a monster palooza for the next 20 minutes. Like every corner you turn around, there's a stop motion monster.
Well, you get a fake out because Stillman gets picked up and turned into claymation for a second, and then the monster throws him down, and then he just sort of runs away.
You know what? You could almost call it a montage.
A monsterage? Yeah. Because doesn't it cut to then Ranger Stash and Stillman just walking around some farmhouse?
Yeah. Now this, I really didn't get, because where are we? Why are we there? We don't know. But a giant dinosaur starts attacking them, and the whole thing is set to that really awesome song I mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Well, April said it was like watching a music video because there's no dialogue.
Ranger Stash meets his only weakness, some weak floorboards that he goes through.
He kind of gets stuck in this basement, but then Stillwell gets attacked by this dinosaur and turns in...
Is this how Stillman always wanted to go out? Because he's like laughing right as the monster attacks him and rips his head
You mean
off.
turned into a photograph that's cut out?
Yeah. Like a Monty Python cutout.
It's really funny. Like, to integrate the creature, they've like taken a photo of the location and just sort of cut it out and stuck it onto like cardboard and had the creature like animated in front of it.
And so like after all that, it cuts to just like Charlie walking down the street, and he looks into a chicken coop, and he's like, "Oh!"
Yeah, so we have Stillman gets eaten. He turns into like a photograph, gets eaten,
and Stash Cop gets away. We assume
Charlie.
Yes.
His wife finds something, and then he's like, "Oh, I knew I shouldn't have let those guys go up the mountain on their own." And he runs out directly to a chicken coop, and there's a giant chicken monster now. And I have no idea.
I think it's like, I was watching it, maybe it's like turkeys? Because it's got like a turkey face.
I guess, yeah.
Vulture-esque.
Yeah, it's like a vulture chicken.
And
it doesn't do anything. It just kind of like looks up and is like, "Hey, how's it going?"
And he falls down a hill. This is an amazing pratfall, by the way.
It looked like it was really him.
Yeah, he rolls down this hill and just rolls and rolls.
No, they got the stop motion really good by that point.
Yeah, so we never see that vulture chicken again. Don't know what the point of it was.
Well, the thing is, like, just trying to put logic here. If this is like an ancient native curse,
why a
dinosaur
Oh, it said the Portal to Hell releases all the demons in hell. These are just like
Chicken
multiple
monsters,
demons.
tree monsters.
Okay,
Sure.
all right.
Why not?
Because at this point, like, there's no more dialogue in this movie. Like, it cuts to like Ranger Stash just like walking through some tall grass as like a devil man chases him.
Yeah, I guess that's the Winterbeast. And
We don't know that.
I don't know. Well, I'm just
Winter
guessing.
is coming! It's me, the Winterbeast!
It's a guy in a suit, and it looks okay.
It's shot in slow motion, and it's always shot from a low angle, so we kind of guess that he's supposed to be gigantic, like he's supposed to be.
Yes. I think that's the idea. There's like a forced perspective shot near the end, which makes you go, oh, he's supposed to be giant. Okay, I get it.
And this scene goes on for a long time.
Yeah.
Very long time. And they try and shoot flare guns at it. It doesn't work.
Yeah, Ranger Stash, for some reason, I
don't know why he thinks that's going to do anything.
He has a flare gun that he keeps shooting at this thing, but...
You forgot, though, it's like Charlie drives up to get in the car and then crash the car instantly, and one of them goes flying out.
Well, Charlie's stunt double flies out of the thing, and it's clearly not him. He's like balding this guy that like falls onto the ground.
Hey, they had stunt doubles. That's a big deal for a low-budget movie like this.
And then they cut back to Charlie, and he's still got his like, feathered mullet.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's not the same guy.
And like, wasn't like there was like some Deus Ex Machina, right? Like a little shrunken head that could
What
do the
is that
job?
thing? Where did that come from?
I think that's the necklace with the tooth that they mentioned earlier.
No, that's another thing.
That's another thing.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they needed to take the big dildo
Yeah,
out.
no, you're right. There's like a football-shaped head.
Yeah, there's like a shrunken head that all of a sudden turns into a bomb.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what we're talking about, guys. It's very confusing at the end, and nothing is explained really. You just have to go with it.
Yeah, it's just whatever. It's just like three
Because they
scenes.
throw it at the Winterbeast, and the Winterbeast like explodes,
Well,
right?
Charlie lays it on the ground, and you can see him going, shoot it, shoot it. Like, there's no dialogue, so they didn't record the audio.
That's what he's saying.
And then he jumps out of the way as Ranger Dan shoots a...
I thought he was saying do it.
I think he's saying shoot it. I don't know.
Very similar.
And then he shoots it.
Do it!
Shoots it, and
Just
it
like
blows
Nike.
up, and then that causes the Winterbeast's head to catch on fire and burn.
And then he turns
that's
into like a model or what's it called? Like it's
like
a
an animatronic.
prosthetic. Yeah, animatronic. It's not a puppet because
miniature.
they weren't like moving it, but it's like a fake head that they lit on fire.
Yeah, I think you would usually call that like a miniature.
Yeah, there's a lot of miniatures in this movie, actually.
Yeah, and then the day is saved, and then there is some dialogue.
Oh, that's so good. After 30 minutes of no dialogue, Ranger Stash turns to Charlie and he's like, next time, we hunt for bears.
Oh, that's what he said.
The first time we saw it, we thought what did we think he said? We thought he said, next time you buy the beers.
I think, yeah, it's hard to hear, but holy crap, he just like laughs
Yeah.
like an insane person.
And then, they both laugh like it's the funniest thing in the world and just walk out of
yeah,
frame.
I wanted to freeze frame and then just go to credits.
It's scenes like that make me think they were at least a little bit in on the joke, right?
Oh, of course. They were definitely in on the joke.
Yeah.
He was wearing a rug on his lip at one point, so
Yeah.
he's got to be in on the joke.
But we can't end there because then we cut to a sign that says closed for business.
Oh, the Wild
It's at
Goose
the Wild
Lodge.
Goose Lodge, so we know no sequels are coming. Thank goodness.
Yeah, so this is like, I looked it up on IMDb. It's like the director's first and only movie.
That's a
I don't think he
shame.
ever worked again.
So this movie just got a Blu-ray release, right, Justin?
Oh, yeah, from Vinegar Syndrome. You can only currently get it. I'm sure it'll get its own single release on a triple pack that includes Fatal Exam, a 2-hour slasher film, like a regional 60mm one, and also another film called Beyond Dream's Door, which I really, really like. And they're all super duper special editions, new scans, more special features, and you can
Shake a stick at.
shake a stick
That's
at.
the expression.
Yeah, shake a Winterbeast at. And I think it's like $60 US if you order it from them.
Well, if you would like to watch Winterbeast for free, it is streaming on Vimeo right now. It looks like it was just uploaded by some guy 5 years ago. Now,
Oh, it'll probably be taken down, but it doesn't look as good
won't
as
because
the version.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
this
just
is
like
really
I just
crisp.
like stepped through it, but yeah, it won't be. It didn't look terrible. I was just looking at it on my phone. But if you want to check out the movie and maybe then maybe later splurge for the Blu-ray, I would totally recommend this movie because it was a really good time.
Yeah, it's really
Did you
fun.
guys pick your favorite things? You said like the stop motion.
Oh, the
right,
creatures
Colin?
are great, yeah.
Justin.
I think that there's just too much to pick. You know what? I'm gonna say the last line. I love when they're like, "Next time we hunt for bears."
You could say Mr. Sheldon.
Yeah,
he's fantastic.
Oh, Mr. Sheldon is good. Like, you could pick just one monster. What about you, April? What's your favorite thing?
The song.
The music.
It is absolutely the song.
Yeah. See, this is one of those times that we don't have to pick a favorite thing because we're like, it's so much fun.
Yeah, there's so many things. But yeah,
this is a movie that, like, if you get friends together, like, there's no way you can enjoy.
For sure, yeah.
It's another movie which is happening like every movie now. It's just like, I wish I got to see this with a group of friends or in a theater. That would, like, I can just imagine the experience of seeing this.
Yeah, it'd be really good. Anytime a new creature came
I know the experience. It killed when we.
Yeah, I'm so sorry I missed that. Maybe it'd be like a tradition in the future, like every Christmas you play Winterbeast.
Oh, that would be so funny. Yeah, a Winterbeast screening.
No, you do it in fall.
Yeah,
you have like the foliage festival, and then you sell like mulled cider and stuff like that.
Yeah, you get a discount if you wear plaid.
Yeah, we're just really trying.
The more plaid you wear, the cheaper the ticket.
Trying to imagine how.
Can you imagine watching like Winterbeast and Things on a double bill? I think you would.
That would be great. Yeah,
I feel like that's a good double feature.
Both like aesthetically kind of look the same. Like they have the same sort of sets and shot the same way, like lighting,
costumes.
There's more hosers in
for sure.
Things.
Yeah, exactly.
But this has like, I don't know, Boston accents. Yeah, fucker.
They have great accents in this too, so it's an accent palooza. Anyway, check this movie out because it was really fun, you guys. And if you want to email the podcast, we're at nosuchthingAsABadMovie@gmail.com, and we're on Twitter at nosuchthingpod. And if you want to support us on Patreon, patreon.com/nosuchthingAsABadMovie. If you're on the $5 level, you get a little bonus episode every 2 weeks. And we just recorded one on a movie Colin has worked on, ladies and gentlemen. Should we say what it is?
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Yes.
It was not a pleasant experience.
No, this is the first time I've seen it.
So if you want to hear Colin talk a little bit about his experience in the VFX industry back when he used to work on things like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, donate on the $5 level. And also, it is that time again, finally. Next episode is the listener request episode.
No!
Hey, we've had a couple of really good ones the past, like, 2 or 3.
Next time, we should hunt for bear.
Yeah, so if you are subscribed to us on the $2 level or up, you will be submitted into a draw to pick the next episode. So you don't have to do anything. You just have to be a Patreon subscriber. And I'll let you know if you won, and you can pick the next episode.
Nothing over 2 hours.
I'll let them know all the caveats. But again, we had League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Whoever wins, we lose.
Island of Dr. Moreau. We've had some good ones. So thank you everyone who are already patrons. And if you want to tweet at me, I'm at April at Mansky.
You can follow me on Twitter at DeCluJ, DECLOUX, the letter J, or I'm on Letterboxd at just Justin DeClue. Also, podcast The Important Cinema Club every week.
If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm Sergeant Zima, SGTZIMA.
So thanks for tuning in this week, ladies and gentlemen, and winter is no longer. Winter's coming. Winter's coming, you guys. At least
there's no such thing as
at least it is in this movie. I'm April Mansky.
I'm Justin DeClue.
And I'm Colin Cunningham.
And remember, there's no such thing as a bad movie. What?
I was like, why was there such a long pause?
I think the mic went out. It's all good. We're good. We're out.